What's up, guys? Keenan here from the Comic Blast Podcast, letting you guys know that this episode is going to be a little bit shorter. We didn't really plan out any topics. We had a really chilled and laid-back episode where we got into some pretty cool discussions. One of those being us showing our appreciation for the amazing Spider-Man franchise, Marc Webb and Andrew Garfield. We get into a really cool conversation towards the end of the episode, so stay tuned and enjoy.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out? Consider this mercy. I am inevitable.
Welcome back to the Comic Blast Podcast. My name is Grayson. This is Keenan. We don't know what we're talking about today. We decided to jump right into it. How you doing, man?
Doing great. I'm bringing the energy today because we have nothing to talk about. So I figure I might overcompensate with just lots of energy.
It has to balance out. Perfectly balanced as all things should be. Yeah, we kind of had like a full discussion like before this whole thing started.
As we were like, do.
Yeah, we always do this. And then I was like, we really need to be recording right now because it was just like, there's not a whole lot to talk about this week as a lot of weeks often go. You'll notice something, though, is that we lied. Cole is not here yet. Sorry. We actually fired him. Just kidding.
Jeez, man.
We love you. That actually happened.
You know what? We gave him some homework to do. Did he listen to the last episode? Do you know?
Yes, he did.
Oh,
he literally snapped me and he was like, "I'm doing my homework." and he was like genuinely appreciated all of our compliments and everything and our appraisal. So then I was like, "That's funny," because in the episode I said he needs to do his homework, and I'm like,
"Yeah."
There he was like, "That's why I said that." I was like, "Oh, okay, good. Yeah, that makes sense. That's good."
Yeah.
But yeah, we're planning on having him in the upcoming episode. We're trying to get his equipment necessary.
This is the last episode
for recording.
With just two people.
Yeah, and this one will probably be a little bit shorter. Well, not the last episode with just two people, but like the last episode where, there is not three people in the cast. Because there may be a couple of episodes where it's like, oh, I'm slammed with schoolwork even though school's about to end. But theoretically, like, a couple months from now, and it'd be like, hey, you guys record or whatever. And it'd still be totally fine. But obviously the plan is to have all three of us.
So here's something that we can do because I keep kind of like tabs on all of the analytics and stuff for the podcast. And we run a lot of ads. If you've discovered us from Instagram, through Instagram ads, we run a lot of ads, so we get a lot of new listeners from that. So if you're new to the podcast, I know we kind of start off the show just assuming that this is your 30th time listening to an episode, but we also got to keep in mind that we do have new listeners every week. So
that is true.
Yeah, we always open up the podcast, so welcome back. But welcome to the new listeners, and if you are new, we are just two guys. We're adding a third guy, a third member of the podcast. But we're just a group of friends who like talking about comic book stuff. Mostly we keep up with the things that's going on in the entertainment world and not so much comics. Occasionally we do dive into comics and stuff going on with that. But we like to keep up with the shows and movies related to Marvel, DC, Star Wars, and things like that. So,
and even stuff beyond that
of course.
As well. We'll talk about John Wick or what Jordan Peele is up to with his his movies and stuff, just like things that we really enjoy because we're just like really invested in entertainment culture and things like that. But obviously our passions are Star Wars, Marvel, DC, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I probably should get through all the housekeeping stuff. Do you think I can do it really fast like I did that one time?
Yeah. You're talking about me doing it? Or you?
No, me.
Okay, go.
Me, because remember there was that one time I did it really quickly.
I don't know what the motivation was for it. I think you were motivated by something to do it really quickly.
Yeah. I think we were like trying to get. Oh, it was a longer episode.
All right, here's your motivation. Pretend that you have 30 seconds to get through this, or else you can't go to the gym for 30 days.
Oh, okay. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at @ComicBlast_. We have a sponsor. Her name is Jess. You can follow her at twitch.tv/female and She's pretty great. We also have Joseph and Sam. They are our patrons. You can find us at patreon.com/comicblast. And you can find our personal social media everywhere else in the descriptions of wherever you're listening to this to.
Whew. Jeez.
Did I do it?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I didn't know that's all I needed to do to make you get motivated and speed through that.
I mean, you put me in this situation, and I mean, listen, I haven't been doing a real gym in like a month anyway, but luckily I have a friend who has a gym in his basement, so that's still like, you were pretty much like holding a gun to my head, like, listen, if you don't do this in 30 seconds, you're going to get fat.
That's impressive.
So
I can't even count the amount of times it's taken us like 5 minutes to get through all of that stuff, and you just did it in 30 seconds. I didn't know it was possible, honestly. I thought it was always a 5-minute thing until this moment. So
yeah,
good job.
I took it as a personal challenge. Oh, also, we have a YouTube channel. Please follow us there. Dang it. I'm just kidding. Actually, we don't normally talk about the YouTube channel stuff, but I figured probably should make that an addition, considering we're expanding and everything like that.
We should probably even mention, I uploaded a video on our YouTube channel this past week. So I made a promise to all of our patrons that I'd be uploading weekly, and this past week I kind of just given you guys like an update on like some things in like my office space. I kind of like went through a bunch of new steelbooks that I bought and showed everyone my hot toys, and I appreciate everyone who watched that. I plan on doing more of those, so there's that.
Yeah, you should. So we were talking before this episode started, and you were like, this would make a good story for the podcast. And I was like, why aren't we recording right now?
Yeah.
Because we literally have no guide for this episode. So we're going as it happens. This is kind of a first for that. Tell your story about you losing that Far From Home steelbook that you got.
Here's a little bit of backstory and some context. I'm a big steelbook collector. I like steelbooks. I'm a movie collector, so I like keeping up with,
You are the movie guy.
Yeah. So, I hated the Far From Home steelbook that came out originally with Best Buy.
Bad.
It's really rough. So I actually bought a steelbook that was exclusive to Germany. So it's just a German import for Far From Home, which is gorgeous. It's got this nice glossy finish, and the back looks cool. Amazing. I waited a little while, probably about 10 days to get it in the mail. And so yeah, I got it in the mail. I actually I was leaving the house when I checked the mailbox, and I just threw it in my car, put it in the passenger seat. And I was like, cool. I had some errands to run, and then eventually, like throughout the day, I was like, I really need to vacuum my car. It was getting gross. So I went to go vacuum my car, put in my money for this little vacuum at the car wash place. The vacuum didn't work, and then I was like, okay, so let me go try this other vacuum, drive around to the other side of the car wash, put in my money for that vacuum. That one also did not work. So I was like, screw it. I'm just going to clean out my car and throw all this stuff in the dumpster. So I threw away all my coffee cups and everything that was all over the floor. I'm a messy person when it comes to my car.
Thousands of them.
Yes. So I'm cleaning out my car. I'm just piling everything up, and I throw it all in the dumpster. I leave. I get down the street, and then I'm like, let me open up that, Far From Home steelbook that I've been waiting 10 days to get, only to realize that I threw it away in the dumpster. So yeah, I have pretty bad luck. Not like nothing drastic happens, but I do these small things every now and then, and I'm like, it's about time. I'm due for one of these. Which is something that happens every couple days. Anyways, I drove back to the car wash, put on some rubber gloves, and dug through the trash can while everybody stared at me to get my steelbook out of the trash can. So yeah, that was a good day.
Yeah,
I'll always have that story whenever I look at that steelbook.
I just imagine like everybody at the car wash is just like staring at you as you're just like ravenously digging through the trash for this Spiderman Far From Home steelbook.
And they didn't know what it was. It could have been something way more important than that. So
yeah, or less important.
You know what I was thinking? I was like, they're probably thinking I'm just like dealing like drugs or something. Like you see in movies where they like dump off like, they're doing some sort of weird exchange. I think in the movie Speed, they like throw like a a duffel bag of money, or some movie I watched.
That's how you do that's how like a drug deal. That's how it sounds. That's probably what they thought.
That's what they probably
yeah.
thought. They were probably like, oh, the dealer dropped this off already, or here's the money for the exchange. They threw it in the dumpster and now he's retrieving it. Like that's what I was thinking in my head. But they were probably like, oh, this poor homeless boy looking for food. Like what was really going on in their mind.
Oh man, well at least you got it back though, because like I thought the story was gonna be like, and then I lost it. They took off the trash and I never saw it again.
Man, I'd be devastated. That thing came from Germany.
Yeah, I was about to say you got it from Germany, which is insane.
Yeah,
it looks so much better though than the other steelbook.
It's gorgeous, man. It's like a complete 180 from the original steelbook. I knew when that came out I was not buying that.
Do you ever so I've been kind of doing it the past week, but also just because my stuff has been a mess because of combinations of movies and games all over the place just piling on. Usually I'm pretty organized, but like sometimes it's harder to access them. So do you ever just like pull out a steelbook and just like admire it?
Oh yeah.
Like, okay, I figured you did. You seem like the type of guy to just like walk by it and be like, let me look at that steelbook.
Yeah,
like
I kind of like do that. Lately I've been doing this thing where I walk in my room and then I'm leaving my room and then I just look back at my shelf with my Hot Toys and I just kind of like stare at it for a few seconds.
Which you have
leave.
Are you up to 3 now?
Yeah, I have 3.
Oh my gosh, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Because when you put so obviously your first one was the advanced suit from Spider-Man PS4, which is gorgeous.
The best
as
one.
always.
Yeah.
Perfect red and everything. I don't know why it's not like that in the game. It upsets me. Anyway, then your second one what was your second one?
Batman from Justice League.
Okay. Batman from Justice League, which looks really slick.
It's good. It's real good.
Yeah. And then you got the third one, which was a gift you said from a family member.
Yeah.
And that was, is it Thor from Infinity War?
Yeah. Thor from Infinity War.
Does he have the eye patch or does he not have the eye patch?
There is an option for the eye patch. I decided to go against the eye patch. I'm going for the full
movie.
Yeah, I'm going for like that Wakanda look where he has like the actual arm sleeves, because they actually have like the arms without the sleeves.
Oh, really?
That came with it. Yeah, it came with a bunch of stuff,
cool.
So you can get that.
I was about to
early
say, because I'm like,
look.
So I'm a big sucker for the Ultimate Thor, and in that look, he has essentially like he looks very similar to the beginning of Infinity War.
Yeah.
And so like I was always kind of disappointed when he lands in Wakanda. I'm like, oh, he has like all the full armor, and he also doesn't have the eye patch. And I feel like I'm like he just kind of looks more like old school Thor with a short haircut and an axe.
I suppose.
I'm like, I mean, he looks fine, but like. What I thought would be really cool is if he just lands in Wakanda and he doesn't have the cape, he doesn't have the chainmail on the chainmail arms.
Yeah.
He just like you can fully see his arms, and he has the eye patch, and he's just flying around like without the cape or anything like that. I don't know why. To me, I thought that was always a sick look because it just made him look way more like brutal and like manly, I guess. And I'm sure you can do that. Or, I mean, he could have the cape too, but just no sleeves and like the eye patch. I think the eye patch is a sick look. So when they got rid of it, I was just kind of like...
It felt like one of those things that were going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was weird because I'm just like, all right, well, Rocket put a like an eyeball up his butt and gave it to Thor. Here you go.
Yeah.
Like it just kind of felt like a thing of just like them not having to spend money on putting a CGI eye patch, you know?
I think that could have been like easy to do, but I feel like Marvel, like they have the tendency of not letting consequences for certain things stay around a little bit longer.
Yeah.
They kind of like they do it for a movie and then they're like, oh, by the way, we fixed this. Like it's no longer a problem. Mm-hmm. Even though like I think the
problem with that is because they don't know what's happening in future movies. Like I think it's been publicly stated that like exactly that Taika Waititi didn't know like what was going to happen with Thor in Infinity War. He didn't even know that he was going to be fat in Endgame. Yeah. And so it's like it kind of like creates problems with the storytelling because it's like, well, this happens and this happens. And like even like I think the biggest thing with Ragnarok is like a big message of that movie is like, you know, he's not the god of hammers, he's like the god of thunder.
Right.
And so like he becomes super powerful without his axe. And then Infinity War, he's like, I need my axe. I need a weapon. Like, and it's like, well, what happened to the whole thing of you being super powerful without a weapon?
That's true, but then you can look at the flip side where you're like, wow, this really shows how powerful Thanos really is.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
So, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, there's just some mix of visions, even though Marvel Studios does a pretty good job of making sure everything kind of flows nicely.
It's also like things like, you know, Captain Marvel, when she pops up, it's being like, oh,
get her off the podcast.
Oh, God, I want Captain Marvel to be good, but like I
think the next movie is actually going to be good. I think they kind of, no offense to the directors who I actually really like, I think they did not nail it with the director of the first movie.
Yeah, I agree. I really hope it's Deborah Chow. God, can
we make that happen?
Just please, like we said it before, but she would just be phenomenal.
What do we need to do to make that happen?
Yeah, like she is clearly if she nails this Obi-Wan show, like I'm all for it.
Because we're looking at Captain Marvel was 2022. Was that right?
Something like that. Yeah, it's a little bit down the road.
Give us some time. She can do it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know when the Obi-Wan show is supposed to come out. I think like
was next year, but who knows? I mean,
at this point, everything is a mess. Everything, forget everything.
You know what? Like this podcast episode right now. But you know what? I read an article the other day that said that it's very likely that there will be no new movie releases in 2020. The entire year.
If that actually happened, that would be like insane.
Yeah, I mean, like right now as it stands, I think Birds of Prey would be the highest grossing
Oscars
movie
next year are going to be crazy.
Dude. It's
going to be Birds of Prey, Onward, and like Invisible Man, and that's it.
Extinction. Or no, not Extinction.
Oh my,
Extraction.
Extraction. Great movie. Did you watch it?
No, I haven't. I'm going to watch it tonight, actually.
Okay, good, because it is, oh man, it is really good. I was like, Extinction, I'm like Transformers Age of Extinction?
No. Oh boy.
Yeah, Extraction was freaking awesome. I won't spoil anything.
Yeah,
but like,
I'm looking forward to that, actually.
The director is Sam Hargrave, and he was like helped with the action scenes in a lot of the Marvel movies, also Atomic Blonde. And like I've been describing it to people. It's like John Wick if John Wick was a tank. Like, I mean, John Wick can already take a lot, but it's like if John Wick was like twice as strong. Like if you put him in Chris Hemsworth's body, you know, it's crazy. And it was a really good movie for it being exclusive to Netflix. Yeah. When I finished it, I was like, man, I wish this movie would come out on Blu-ray or something. That way, like I could watch it whenever I wanted, like, or have like behind the scenes and stuff. Because like some of the action set pieces in that movie are incredible. I live for these stunt coordinators and second stunt directors, directing full-on movies because they get it. They understand their limitations. The
thing that's really cool about these stunt coordinators making these films is that they understand with their version of action films, the storyline doesn't need to be overly complicated. They really simplify the storylines. Like John Wick 1 is really just a story about revenge.
Yeah.
And then 2 is
I'd say 2 is a little bit more in depth, but they open up the world. It's still pretty simple. I mean, it's like, okay, well, we need to figure out a way to get him back. And they're like, well, he has this blood marker with this guy from the high table, and it kind of complicates the world a bit more. That's why I think John Wick 2 is my favorite, because it's like it explores that side of the lore without getting too crazy, and still has these awesome action set pieces. It doesn't like sideline those to focus more on the story.
Right.
And then John Wick 3 is like, it's more so like, okay, this one. I think that's also why John Wick 2 is my favorite, is because like John Wick 3 kind of goes more simple, where it's just like, yeah, he's just being hunted now. Like pretty much the roles have reversed. It's the first movie, he's on the hunt. The second movie, like he's kind of at like almost in like a war with these people, and then the third movie is like, okay, he's being hunted. Yeah. And so it's all three of those movies have been pretty simple, and that's kind of the vein with these types of movies.
So I've heard Extraction is a little bit of kind of like that. It's not like overly complicated storyline.
I actually still really like the story too. I would say the story is better than, if you're comparing it to John Wick, better than like John Wick 1 or 2. But well, it's about equivalent to John Wick 1, I would say. Okay. In the sense that like, I really enjoyed the characters, and I think Chris Hemsworth is just a really great actor. Mm-hmm. And he does a really great job, and I think they do a good job of building up all of the characters and stuff. And it's got a pretty good cast too. There's like people that I was like, I wasn't expecting these actors to be good, and they really surprised me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed that movie, and it was something that I was like, I didn't know about until maybe a month ago.
Yeah.
And then I was like, a trailer came out, and it had a song that I really liked in it, and I was like, okay, I'm intrigued. Chris Hemsworth, he's a awesome military dude who kicks the crap out of people. Sick song, produced by the Russo brothers, directed by this guy who does a lot of the action scenes for Marvel. I'm on board. Let's do it.
I'm very intrigued. I'm looking forward to finally getting a chance to watch it.
Yeah, you'll have a blast for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, back to like the movies.
Blast.
Oh, I knew that was coming.
It's has to happen now.
This is where everybody clicks off the episode.
Yeah. All right, we'll see you guys. It's been a good run.
Yeah. Yeah, no movies coming out in 2020. I kind of see that actually happening because I think the movie theaters will be open at some point this year. I don't see the actual, companies that are making the movies wanting to put their films out, because I think they understand that like audiences aren't going to be like, running to the theaters this year.
Exactly.
And there's likely going to be some sort of limitations on theaters, even if they do open up. I'm sure there's going to be like spacing between seats, limited seating, if they decide to actually open up. Which you kind of set your movie up to fail, because not many people are you're not gonna have as many people in seats for your film. So that's why it wouldn't necessarily surprise me if there are no more new movies, or maybe some of them go the VOD route.
Yeah, I'm sure you saw that whole new news piece where it was
Universal.
AMC is banning Universal movies from their theaters because of like
it's said Regal too.
Regal's doing it as well too.
Regal's gonna do it too.
Well, so here's the thing, all right, and so I want to get into this because I'm a little like two-sided on the whole thing.
Yeah.
So on the Universal side, like I guess playing on the Universal side of things, I'm like, that's really dumb, because they're just saying like, okay, yeah, like we can do really good with movies on demand as well, but we'll also put it in theaters for people who want to see it.
Yeah.
I assumed. But then if I'm playing devil's advocate here, like if this is the way I'm led to believe it works, it makes sense that they would ban them, because it's like, well, why would we pay money to put pay money to put movies in our theaters if you guys are just going to be like, well, we can have them on VOD and people can just watch them there. Like, we would rather, save the money and then play the movie, like play Disney and all of the other so is it the theater chains pay the company to get those movies, or is it the other way around?
I'm not really sure how that works.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have to research that. If that is the case where the theaters are paying, I don't think they are. I'm pretty sure theaters make, the way it goes is they make around 30% profit off the tickets. I can honestly see it both ways. I know people are like really hating on the theaters right now.
Yeah. They're like, oh, this is petty, and I'm like, yeah, but also at the same time, like, why would they waste their time? It's like from a business standpoint, it makes sense, and I don't know if that's like warped my mind a lot lately, but I feel like there's been a lot of things where I've understood business side of things, and I'm like, I'm a little bit more laid back, and that's not just with movies, that's with like anything.
What's happening is like the movie theaters are now having to compete against the people that are, essentially profiting from them, if that makes sense. So not only are they competing with other theater chains, they're now having to compete with the companies that are actually putting the movies in their theater.
Mm-hmm.
So that from that aspect, I understand. And also, like you said, am I gonna, the Fast and the Furious comes out? Am I gonna like, reserve 4 theater rooms for this movie?
Yeah.
Where maybe 10 people show up to it because they're going to be watching it at home.
Exactly. Like, let's say this, for example. The amount of money that they would make on... this is purely hypothetical.
Yeah.
And I don't know if these movies didn't come out at the same time. You've got Black Widow and you've got Fast and Furious coming out at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? Both really big franchises that would both make a lot of money.
Yep.
However, if Fast and Furious is going to be available on demand at home, why would they reserve more theaters if they could put essentially double the amount of Black Widow, because they know Black Widow is going to make bank no matter what? So it's like, and it's not like people are going to be mad at the theaters because they can just go watch it at home.
Yeah, I'm actually like the more we talk about this, I'm starting to actually side with theaters, which may be a controversial take.
Now, here's the thing. My opinion does change if essentially like the producers, the companies are paying the theater chains, like say them like, all right, well, like, but I don't think that's how it works.
No, I
like,
don't think so.
Like it would make more sense for it to be like AMC, like, all right, we'll pay this amount of money to play, example, Avengers Endgame in 4 of our theaters for our like 8 theater. 8 auditorium theater. There we go. We'll say that.
I think it goes like, I don't think any of the theaters pay for it. I think they just make a portion of the revenue they get to keep. Most of it goes to concessions. So
well, I think it does matter though, because like the companies want to decide like what movie theaters they want to like play it at, and I think it's up to the business side of things to be like, all right, well, we're gonna put the movie in all of these theaters.
Yeah.
That's why, for example, like I don't think theaters like a AMC, if there's a really small town, they're not going to pay money to play The Lighthouse in their theater because they know it's not going to make nearly enough money. They're not going to get enough money back on that.
Yep.
On that investment. So I think that's how that works. We'll have to do some research. Someone could easily tweet this at us.
I know. I'm actually really curious about this now.
Yeah.
I'd like to know a little bit more about like how the whole industry works. I think like honestly, it seems like they're going to the extreme, which makes me feel like this is just all like negotiation tactics.
Either way, it's still kind of silly, and it's like I think they're partially bluffing.
The sad thing is that this whole conversation and this whole like thing is happening because of the movie Trolls. Like that's what caused this whole thing.
Yeah, it's like, all right, well, Jurassic World 3 and the Fast and Furious, two very large movies, are not going to be put in theaters because of Trolls World Tour or some crap like that. And I'm like, what? Who
would have ever thought?
Well, no wonder like they paid money for that. It's a kids movie that they can put on in the house and their kid will watch it 4 times over.
I mean, like have the freaking kids stuck at home.
Does this VOD thing work? Is it like buying movies where it's like you just own the movie forever?
No,
or is
it's like renting it.
Okay, so you're paying $20 to rent it and maybe watch it like a certain amount of time and like in a couple of days. Or
you probably have like
that.
2 days. You pay $20. It's basically you're actually if you have a family of 4, you're saving money that way. But,
that is true, yeah.
But you go to the movies, like I feel like if you're gonna pay that much money to watch a movie, you're going mostly for the experience. Get the family out of the house.
Yeah.
Go get your popcorn and all that stuff. It's dude, this is the strangest year because everything is changing.
Upstairs. I'm going to make some after that. Anyway, keep on going.
Everybody, this is it. This is to all our new listeners. This is what the Comic Blast podcast is about right now.
I'm sorry. I just really want movie popcorn. Like, genuinely, if there was not like if there were theaters open right now, I'd be like, you want to go see a movie right after this? Like, honestly, I would be, other than us, like, or like tomorrow. Like, I haven't seen a movie since like Invisible Man. God.
Yeah, that was my last. I think the last movie I saw was with you, Invisible Man.
This is a sad.
We were gonna go see Onward, and we never did.
Did you watch it on Disney Plus?
No, I haven't.
Really?
I haven't even
great
opened up
movie.
Disney
It made
Plus
me
in a while.
cry. It made me cry hard.
Maybe I need to watch that soon too.
Yeah, I mean, you won't cry because you're emotionless and you're a robot.
Hey, I get happy sometimes.
I smile, like sometimes.
Yeah, I got
Anyway,
happy when my hot toy came in.
That is true.
So
you get happy from your steelbooks and your hot toys and Spider-Man PS4.
By the way, speaking of Spider-Man PS4,
oh, of course.
I recently got a 4K TV.
Oh, okay.
My first thing I wanted to do was play Spider-Man PS4, which I did yesterday.
Okay.
The game looks amazing on it. I just have to say that. It made me want to replay it all over again because I was like, I've been missing out on a whole nother experience. I wish I had a PS4 Pro, but
I have a PS4 Pro, and now I'm like, I want to play it on 4K on a 4K TV.
Listen, kind sir, this is what happened. I put in Spider-Man, right?
All right.
And then all of a sudden, my TV went black for a second. And then this little thing came up on the right-hand side of the screen, and it said, like, HDR enabled. And I was like, excuse me? I was like, what is this? I start the game, and I'm like, oh, this is what it is. Like, it looks gorgeous on 4K. And you were talking about, like, the red suit earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, like, perfect. It still has a little bit of that orange tone sometimes. But it looks a lot better, the advanced suit. The red does. So I just have to say
how much did you pay for yours, and like what brand and everything was it?
So I got an open box deal. So mine is a 43-inch LG, which I got for like $180.
Wow. And it does have HDR.
Yeah.
That's great. That's a really good deal.
I also popped in Infinity War to see what it looked like. Looked amazing.
Ooh. Did you look at any? So you don't have a 4K player, though,
I don't,
do you?
which I'm like.
Okay.
Still, I'm like missing out on like
because the thing is, if you had a PS4 Pro, it plays 4Ks.
I thought it streams in 4K.
I don't know about that one.
I thought Xbox One X can play 4K.
Maybe that's the case then. Yeah, because I can play 4K discs on my Xbox One X, but it sounds horrible. It sounds horrendous. Like not like the audio, but like the actual Xbox is like it's just louder. Because essentially, like you compare a 4K disc to a Blu-ray disc, and it's like twice the size and thickness. It's like weird. Like you'll compare it, and it's like this feels a lot thicker.
I've never noticed that.
Yeah, you should compare them. It's not like maybe twice, but maybe it's like 1.25 or 1.5 times the amount of thickness. It's a dense disc. I don't know. It's weird. What?
So sorry.
What?
This whole conversation's so funny. The whole time you're talking about the disc size, I was dying over here.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
But I'm sure you have a good point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just that's why I'm like, is this gonna like expand in my Xbox? Yeah. Looking back on it now, it's kind of stupid. You can tell like how much it's just like. Anyway, I brought up something earlier. I brought up something earlier about like looking at your steelbooks.
Yeah.
And I have my Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 steelbook because I have like that set. I think they're the same one. And I freaking love those steelbooks. I love the Amazing Spider-Man steelbook set especially. Mm-hmm. But I was on Twitter, and this is kind of like a whole chain of a story, but I thought it was too good on the podcast not to mention.
Yeah.
And I'd love to have like a further discussion on this with the person about to mention. So I know you're familiar with High Top Films, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so if anybody's not familiar with him, he's a YouTuber. He's kind of a cinephile, and he's a huge Spider-Man fan. Anyway, he posted something on Twitter saying how it's time that Sony shows the deleted scenes of Shailene Woodley as MJ from The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And I totally agree. I would love to see what they did with that. And so I was looking through there, and I was looking through the responses, and I found a guy, and he had posted a picture of one of the outfits from The Amazing Spider-Man 2 on like a dummy, and he was like, actually, this is a kind of a side thing, but I own a bunch of the the outfits and props from the Amazing Spider-Man
Oh my God.
1 and 2. Like, I've been collecting them over the past couple of years. And I was like, what? And so he showed the outfit, and it was the outfit of essentially Peter's wearing like a navy blue sweater. He has like some red khaki chinos on with his Converse, his Converse and like a blue jacket and a red beanie. And it's from the third act of The Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's when he goes to like the monorail station to find his dad's lab. And he goes to that, and I responded, I was like, dude, what? This is so cool. Like, I'm a huge Amazing Spider-Man fan. Like, it has helped me. Like, these movies have helped me through some of like the roughest times in my life. Like, specifically the second one, like, came at a time in my life when I really needed it, and I really appreciate that. And so we followed each other back, and everybody else in the thread was kind of like just wanting to see all of these props and stuff that he had. And like, I thought that was cool, but like, I wanted to just essentially like talk with this guy because he has a very similar experience. And I won't mention the @ or anything like that because I haven't asked permission. But we were talking, and he has a very similar experience where it was like, you know, those two movies really helped him through a rough time. And so he was telling me, and I know it's true because he showed me pictures and everything. Well, first of all, I'll say he's not lying about any of the props. He literally has the jacket that Peter Parker wears from The Amazing Spider-Man 1, and there's a frame of the movie where when Peter is getting bit by the spider, there is a thread on like the shoulder of the jacket that's kind of out of place.
Yeah.
He paused the frame on that movie and had the jacket in his hands, and it was the exact same thread that was popping out. Like, that's how he knew it was the real one.
Sounds expensive.
Yeah, so basically what Sony's been doing is, like, well, he said he has, like, a well-paying job, so he's been able to pick up on these things.
Good.
Because Sony has essentially been, like, throwing, like, selling these things out because they don't really need them.
Yeah.
So he's taken it upon himself to kind of be an archivist of these props and everything. And he doesn't get every single one that comes out, but, like, the biggest ones or the ones that are most important, or even ones that are kind of worn by stunt doubles and stuff, he gets. He has Flash's jacket from The Amazing Spider-Man 1. He has multiple outfits from The Amazing Spider-Man 2. He's got a copy of Richard Parker's glasses. He's obviously got the jacket. He's got Peter's like black outfit from when he skateboards. I think he even owns a variant of the skateboard that he has. I mean, and like these were all used and made for the film. They're legit. And it was awesome. So he showed me a couple of that stuff, but we were talking about the movie, and essentially he told me like how him and I had very similar experiences. And he's like, yeah, I actually was able to meet Andrew Garfield late last year, earlier this year. And I was like, really? No way. And he was like, yeah, I was in line and we were past the barricade, and I said out loud, hey, Peter Parker. And he kind of stopped in his tracks and looked at him, and he was like, and he came up and shook his hand. And basically the reason this had come up is I had told him how I had always wanted to tell Andrew Garfield thank you and how much I appreciated his performance as Spider-Man, because he is one of my favorite Spider-Men. And I think he got the short end of the stick, and he deserved so much better, and he embraced Peter Parker and just did that character so much justice. Some people don't agree with that, and that's totally fine, because that's the way Spider-Man works. We all have our different Spider-Man. However, that's one that I truly love, and he helped me find some of my identity. The same thing went along with my now new friend that I've met on Twitter. And so he told me, he was like, listen, these movies were so important to me at a time that was really dark for me, and I just want to say thank you for everything that you did for Spider-Man. And like it, like he told me, like he has a picture of it, and it like kind of just like the expression on Andrew's face is priceless. Yeah. Like the fact that it's like, I mean, it's actually him and everything. It's legit. And they're shaking hands, and they exchange names and everything, and they talked for like a solid 5 minutes just about like kind of that whole experience and life stuff. And I was like, and it was like, it literally, like when he told me that, like he told me the full story, I like laid back in my chair and I had chills. I also like, I felt like a huge relief, because I've always been like the two people that I've always wanted to say thank you the most to when it comes to like Spider-Man stuff was Stan Lee, which I will unfortunately never get to tell him that, which is really heartbreaking, but also Andrew Garfield, because of like just how frankly life-changing those two movies were. And so the fact that this guy was able to tell him the same, to tell him essentially like how I felt, like, because we were so similar in that regards. It, like, I felt like a huge like weight had come off of like my shoulders, and I also just felt really happy because I'm like, that probably made Andrew Garfield's day.
Yeah.
And so when they were done, like after they like shook hands and everything, and he let Andrew go on his way, they went back to the car, him and his friend. His friend was the one who took the pictures of him shaking hands with him, and his friend was like, he probably got back in a cab or whatever and probably thought about that moment for the rest of the day. And so he told me, he's like, he told me that he just started breaking down crying a little bit because like it was just such a cool thing,
Sure.
like the fact that, because I mean, Andrew Garfield has vocally said that he always felt like he never really felt like he was Spider-Man, and I've always wanted to tell him how much like he means to me as my Spider-Man, and because I feel like I wanted him to be like he was Spider-Man at some point. So yeah, and so then I kind of went on this. We talked a little bit more, and so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go into the commentary of the Amazing Spider-Man 2 for the deleted scenes, because there were some deleted scenes that I'd never seen before.
Yeah.
And so I popped that in, and I looked at the steelbook and just admired it. And please put that suit in the Amazing in Spider-Man PS4,
please.
The sequel, or Spider-Man PS5, I guess. Put those two suits, please, please, please. And so I was listening to the commentary, and there was something that like it struck me really hard, like how much Marc Webb understood Spider-Man and how much
100%.
like Sony tampered with those movies.
Yeah.
So there's a deleted scene, and it was deleted justifiably, but honestly, I loved it. And it's a scene where essentially Peter is taking off his Spider-Man suit, and he's putting like on his regular clothes, and he's just laying down in his bed, like you can tell he's just exhausted, and he's just listening to some music, and he's got his back up against the wall, and he opens up his phone and like looks at a picture of him and Gwen, and then it cuts to Gwen essentially like doing some homework or something like that on her bed, and she looks up and looks at a different picture of Peter and Gwen, and this is at the point where she knows she's going away.
Yeah.
And Marc Webb was saying something. He was like, Spider-Man may not have a direct weakness. He may not be have something that's like Superman, where like
Kryptonite.
Has a kryptonite or anything.
Yeah.
But what makes Peter Parker so relatable and what we can identify with him so much is that his weakness is love. His weakness is that he loves his friends and his family and the people around him, and that's a vulnerability to him.
Man.
But it's also a very human thing. And when he said that, I was like,
He nailed
Marc
it.
Webb understood Spider-Man. I don't care what anybody says. He had a vision, and he got kind of screwed over by Sony. And I still love those two movies, but man, would have loved to see what he fully could have done. And when he said that, I was like, that is what Spider-Man is about right there. Is like Spider-Man loves, like he's a caring and empathetic person, and that's what makes him so relatable to even people who don't even look like Peter Parker or anything. It's the fact that he loves people, and like we can relate to that, When
you said that, it like gave me chills because it's something that I always understood but never heard it put into words the way that Marc Webb did, and it's so true.
Yeah.
And that's why like and that's why like it's a little bit harder for me to like find a way to relate to Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Like because Andrew Garfield, I mean, and Tobey Maguire, and you can talk about Spider-Man PS4, they all
Spider-Verse.
I mean they really focus on those relationships with this whoever the Spider-Man is. Like the relationships are almost, they're one-on-one with the center or like the main plot. Like you have obviously the villain is like the main like thing going for the movie, but right there with it is whatever is happening with his relationships. With the people
and
he
also
loves.
it's like exactly, so like essentially his companions are directly tied to what's going on, but also the villains are, and I think that's a beautiful thing about the Amazing Spider-Man movies and the Sam Raimi trilogy is like the first Spider-Man, directed by Sam Raimi, is a mentor figure, someone who wants to kind of replace Peter's father, and Peter recognizes like, Uncle Ben is my father, which is such a powerful moment and something that's really grown on me as a kid, or that from when I was a kid, I never understood until now when I'm an adult. He's just like, I have a father. His name is Ben Parker.
Right.
Like that part hits hard, and then the second one, obviously it's like another mentor, but like basically all of these like people are like directly tied to his life, and then the third one's like, okay, it's Uncle Ben's killer, you know, how does he deal with that?
And then his best friend and his relationship falling apart.
Exactly. And so that's like, that is his weakness, you know, those antagonists, like, because they know who he is, and they know like what he, like, that he is a loving person, it directly affects him.
God, man, you're like opening up a whole conversation that I never thought about having about Spider-Man. Yeah. It's just like his ability to love people is I think something to admire, no matter like how much he knows it's going, like it can possibly hurt him.
I think it has a lot to like it. As you're saying this, you like the scene where Peter's crying as he's talking to Octavius in the third act of Spider-Man PS4. I won't get into like the details or anything, because I still know there's a lot of people who haven't played that
Dude, that's
game.
so weird that you said that, because I actually posted those frames on my Twitter. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I actually didn't.
If you have, like, while you're talking, go on my Twitter real quick, because you're bringing up like something that I was just thinking about earlier today. I wasn't playing the game or anything. I was just having this, like, you know, I was kind of going over these specific scenes that happen in the game of Spider-Man, with him and Doc Ock, and like,
oh yep, I see it. This is why I replay this game so much. Moments like this. Yep.
It's if you guys have already played it, I don't want to spoil the game, because I still always push people to play this game. But go on my Twitter, you'll see the tweet that I'm talking about. But it's like,
oh, God,
his world, like Peter's worlds colliding, and his relationships should be at the center of every Spider-Man story, I believe. I mean, like you can even look at Spider-Verse, and it's all, that whole movie is everybody and how they deal with their relationships. Like every Spider-Man and how they deal with relationships.
Exactly, yeah. It's such a powerful sentiment. I mean, you've got Peter B. Parker dealing with, you know, the divorce from MJ.
Yep.
And then you've got, you know, Gwen dealing with, you know, her best friend, like, I mean, who's also Peter Parker from her universe, dying and kind of shunning her friends and not wanting to open up.
Yep.
You've got Miles' relationship with his father, and then even his uncle.
Yep.
And it's just like, it's such a universal part of Spider-Man's character. And yeah, so thank you, Marc Webb, for being a really great Spider-Man
director. I'm so happy you brought up that
putting
story. I'm just like, it's really just helped me gain even more of an appreciation for like Marc Webb and those movies. Like, whenever I watch the Amazing Spider-Man movies, even with its flaws, as Peter Parker and Gwen fell in love, I fell in love with that idea in them. Yeah. You had something like that would just like, when they would get back together, it made you so happy, you know? Yeah. When they were able to solve things.
And I think another thing that's really good about the Garfield Webb version of Spider-Man is that it's something that I've always appreciated, is that Peter is not I don't think in any version Peter is like this perfect human being. Yeah. But I think, you know, as time has gone on, Peter has become more of like this, you know, selfless person who's like, who is like, doesn't make any mistakes or anything like that. Right. But I think what's so good about the Andrew Garfield version is that like he is a little bit selfish, you know. In the first movie, he does have a bit of a chip on his shoulder. And it causes his family to get hurt, and that was the original version of Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. And obviously, he learns from it. He becomes a better person because of it.
High Top actually discussed that in one of his videos, which I agree with 100%. He said Spider-Man becomes Spider-Man on the bridge when he saves that little kid and tells him to put on the mask.
Yeah,
he's like, because up until that point, he was selfish. He was kind of like a little bit egotistical. Like you said, had a chip on his shoulder. And then at that moment, that's when he really became Spider-Man. Jeez, man.
Yeah.
This is a good conversation.
Yeah, as soon as I was sitting, I saw that scene. I'll hopefully I can like find it on YouTube or something and post that. I'll try to figure it out somewhere. But it was really cool to have that commentary over that deleted scene. Yeah. And it just makes me sad that, you know, Marc Webb didn't get to finish those movies or have him in his vision or anything like that. It's just, I like those different takes, and I think he was a really really good pick for those. And God, I'm getting sad now, so we should probably end this episode.
Let's wrap it up.
Yeah. Should I do it really fast again?
Yes.
Okay. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ComicBlast_. You can find us on Patreon, patreon.com/ComicBlast. Again, we have our sponsor, Jess. Go follow her Twitch channel. We also have Joseph and Samantha, who are also our loyal patrons. And, Cole's going to be on the next episode, so that's going to be fun. Yeah. Anything else I left out? No? Yes?
No, you never leave anything out. Well, there's just
Okay.
one thing.